How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Beto O'Rourke admitting that not only his family, but his wife's family owned slaves back in the day, back in like the 1850s or 1860s. Now, this is really kind of a desperate attempt, in my humble opinion, and if you want to see the full article from him, I placed that in the description box below. It's really a desperate attempt at him trying to stay relevant. His campaign is all but dead. I don't know what's going on. How are they going to revive it? Are they going to give him a defibrillator? What's really going on? His campaign is finished. But now he wants to spark up some kind of controversy, a little bit of outrage, because people may be outraged at this. They may say, oh, you're a white male. Your ancestors owned slaves. How dare you? He may be trying to bank on that as some kind of way to get some attention. Although it may be negative attention, it's still attention. It's like what they're doing in Hollywood right now, trying to cast people as different things to get some outrage, to get eyes on the product. It's all about marketing at the end of the day. Although maybe negative marketing, some may just tune in to see the train wreck happen, to see the flames shoot from the vehicle, to see the ambulance come do what they got to do. You understand what I'm saying? It's not a good way to get attention, but that's what they're trying to do, in my humble opinion. Now, in the article, they're talking about reparations. They didn't say that specifically. They're saying, oh, we want to figure out a way to repair damage, but they're not going to go all the way to reparations. That's a whole different story. But anyway, they're talking about giving like $23 billion to underfunded minority things and $25 billion to like healthcare, education, stuff like that. And I'll place it on the screen before you so you get a little bit more context. But at the end of this all, it won't really mean much. You're still trying to promote yourself. You're still trying to stay out there on the campaign trail. Maybe it's a glimmer of hope. Maybe if not the president, which I think those hopes are dashed. I mean, let's be honest. The money is going to be on Joe Biden because he, in my humble opinion, still has the support of the Democratic Party at large. Maybe not the squad, but most of the Democratic Party are going to have his back because he has a name recognition. He has been in the government for a very long time, since the 70s, so he has seniority. I think Kamala Harris is right behind him. Buttigieg might be right there because of the whole gay thing. He can ride on that wave. And that's pretty much it. I don't really see anybody else has a shot at the presidency, let alone the nomination. So Beto O'Rourke is just kind of hanging by a thread. No pun intended, no slavery puns intended. So I don't know what he's going to do. Maybe he wants to become the vice president. Maybe he wants to become some kind of cabinet role if the Democratic person wins the election, which won't happen. And if they're able to select him, maybe he wants to drop right there. Aside from that, maybe it's pride that's getting in the way because some people don't want to drop out when you know that they should have dropped out a long time ago. I mean, some of these guys like Hickenlooper, has he dropped out yet? I don't know. Like, if you're not hearing from the campaign in a long time, where they may have been heard from a lot before, it's pretty much over. It's a done deal. People like Bill de Blasio, I don't know what he's doing still. New York City had that blackout in Manhattan, of all places in the world. Like 40,000 without power on the island, people outside in the subway, all kind of stuff. Meanwhile, you're campaigning in Iowa for what? You're not going to win. And why do you want just some other job in government? You're the mayor of New York City. I mean, you already have a pretty high job right now. You could continue to just operate there. Matter of fact, you're not even Bill de Blasio. You're not even really a good mayor. People talking about you taking extended breaks, kicking your feet up on the table, taking naps, getting in there late, CP time, all this, that, and the third. For what? What else are you really doing? Like, if I was a mayor of any city, I'd be there punctual, on time. This is my duty. This is my job. It's not like, oh, I'm just in here doing you guys a favor. But that's a different story, and I digress. I'm getting off track. My whole point is that Beto O'Rourke talking about his ancestors owned slaves, it ain't nothing but a cry for attention, a plea for help. Please give me some more money. Please pay me some attention. I'll make up for it. I apologize for being a white male. And you know what? I got to say one more thing about that. This whole thing about apologizing for being who you are, that's not really a good campaign strategy. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, you may get some props from some people online for apologizing for being a white male, but will that translate into votes? Will that translate into any kind of popularity? Will that translate into you gaining any more of a footing than you had previously? I don't really think so. Maybe if you're trying to become a cabinet member, it could, because you're not going to be seen totally as a white male supremacist, because it'd be bad if he was to be found out as a slave owner, be against reparations, and then not even say you're sorry for what your great granddaddy did. You understand? In the Democratic side of things, that's pretty much how we're operating right now. So I think that he's doing all that he can to keep his name out there, to stay relevant. And one thing I don't like is how he threw his wife under the bus, talking about, oh, well, her ancestors owned slaves as well. It's like, all right, if you want to just out yourself, that's one thing, but throw her under the bus for what? Why? She's not running for president. She's not trying to become a cabinet member. Isn't she some kind of like heiress to some rich fortune? I don't even really know. But again, I digress. This whole thing is kind of pointless. I guess the only point that it would serve is Beto trying to keep his name out there, trying to stay relevant, and just trying to get some kind of praise and pats on the back for apologizing for being a white male whose ancestors did things that are today morally wrong. And I gotta say one more thing before we close. Since we're just outing ourselves as slave owners in the past, in our ancestry, in our family tree, then where are we gonna see Kamala Harris do this? How about her? Because her ancestors, according to her own dad, in an op-ed that was written years ago, owned slaves as well. In Jamaica, he was a white male slave owner. I think he had African descent slaves prior to the ending of slavery, like in 1835. And then he imported Irish slaves after it was no longer legal to have the African slaves. You understand? Because they could be indentured servants or work for very little, okay, on a sugarcane plantation. This person was a slaver on a plantation. I think Beto, his great-great-grand, owned like 2 slaves. But what about Kamala having a whole plantation with many slaves for many years? Barack Obama, same thing. So wake me up when you have Kamala Harris write op-ed or article on medium.com about her family owning slaves. And also Barack Obama, wake me up when he writes an article on Medium or somewhere else about his own family owning slaves through his mother, his white mother in America. And then we'll talk about privilege and generational wealth and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much all I got. What say you? Do you think that this admission by Beto O'Rourke is a cry for help, a plea for attention? Please help me save my campaign. Please let me get into the cabinet on a long shot chance the Democratic candidate wins the presidency. Is that what it's about? Or is it a way for him to apologize for being a white male and right the wrongs and be for reparations? What's really going on here? What is the actual motive? What is the end game? I can't really tell, but whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.